Well, hi there again, and welcome to ChessBase Workshop. My name is Steve Lopez. Thank you for joining us on our little expedition into the wonderful world of ChessBase 11 today. It's Christmas week as I'm recording this, and one of the things I've done in the past over the holidays for ChessBase Workshop, back when it was a written rather than a video presentation, was doing I do weird searches. I do searches for very strange and bizarre things that can happen in the game of chess. Now, when I sit down and do these videos, believe it or not, there is a method to the madness. I do sit down with a plan for what I want to show you, but sometimes the videos actually go off in a different direction than what I expect. I'll explain a little bit more later, but sometimes when you do searches, you find things you never expected to find. Let me show you what I want to do. I want to do an odd position search. We're going to go into Mega Database 2010 because my copy of 2011 has not yet arrived. And we'll go to search. Basically, you right-click. Let me back up and show you that again, show you what I'm doing. Right-click on Mega Database 2010, select search. Of course, the game data tab pulls up. It's not what we want. We want to do a material search. Recently, I was kicking around with some people about the whole controversy about Alexander Alekhine, about how the famous multi-queen game that he played and put in his book of best games didn't actually happen. The actual game appears as a note, as a variation in his text, and instead, as he was analyzing the game, he found this cool way that there could have been multiple queens on the board, and he said, well, that's the way the game should have been. It's so much cooler. We'll put that in as the real game. Anyway, it got me thinking about these multi-queen games, and I decided to go into the database and just try to find what I could find. So here's what I found. I did this already, and I'll show you how I did this. You click on the Material tab, and what I want to look for is I want to look for a game where one side has 3 queens and the other side has 2 queens. Alekhine's game is a 4-queen game. We want to go one better, so we're going to look for 5-queen games. So what I want, we're going to have ignore colors check. That way it doesn't matter who has 3 and who has 2. But what we want is games where one side has 3 queens. So we go 1, 2, 3 by clicking on this little arrow. Or you could just highlight the 0 and punch the keyboard and type in a 3 that way. You could do it either way. I want 3 queens versus 2 queens as a material search. Very simple, basic material search, but an odd one. A little bit strange. Something that you don't normally see in a game of chess. Okay? So we click OK, and it begins the search. Now I'll tell you straight up, because I've got video capture software running. When I did this search before, it took about a minute. You'll notice down in the lower right-hand corner, we have a status bar going, and of course, just to make a liar out of me, it just switched from 2 minutes to 1 minute. When I did this without video capture software running, it took about a minute. Now it's going to take just a little bit longer. But one of the things I'm doing here, I like to do these oddball searches, as I said, and it's because I'm tired and I'm lazy. It's Christmas week. I'm beat. I've had a house full of people for several days now. We've been visiting. We've had people visiting us, and I'm tired. So I'm doing something easy and something fun. In fact, the next video we'll do some more of this kind of thing as well. In the past, I've done things like searching for under promotion games. I did that a couple of times. Bishop under promotions, and then some examination of what the searches turn up. This time, let's do multiple queens. Chess is a weird game. Strange things can happen. It's rare. But you got to wonder, multi-queen game. I don't mean 2 queens. I don't mean promoting a pawn and getting a queen. I mean somebody getting more than 2 queens. How many do you need? I mean, really, if you can't mate with 2 queens, go back to checkers. Anyway, moving right along. We're just seconds away from the end here, and I'll spill the beans. I'll let the cat out of the bag and tell you we come up with 3 games. Should be one more appearing about any moment now. There it is. Okay, we've hit 100%. The screen has changed. Here's our search results. Looking at over 4 million games, we come up with 3 games. I want to do these in reverse order. I want to look at each one of these games, but I want to do them backwards. Because the subtext of this entire video presentation is very simple, and that is this. Back in the day, you know, when Alexander Alekhine wrote a book and faked a game that he published in a print book, he had to write the book, submit it to an editor, the editor had to edit it, then it went to the publisher, it gets published, and this game is out there, and it's in a ton of databases, and it's in a ton of chess books, and it's taken as gospel that Alekhine had this game where you know, the one side had multiple queens, all right? I mean, more than two. Okay, he faked the game. So how hard is it in the day of electronic publishing, where basically there's tournaments played all the time, there's tons of chess games that hit the internet, there's literally hundreds to thousands of games that are published online every week. Take a look at the Week in Chess every Monday night, you'll see what I'm talking about. How hard would it be to fake a game? And think about that for a minute. I want to show you something here. We're going to go back 2008 to this game first of all. And here's of course the when you double click on a game, it jumps right to the position in question. And here we have 3 queens against 2 queens. Now let's see how we get there. All right, we'll start at the beginning. Of course, I'm going to use either the keys on the keyboard to move the pieces. But we start with a Sicilian, which is cool. That's fine. This is plausible. All of this looks plausible. I mean, it just looks like 2 players playing a game. And according to the header information, they are, what, one's a master, one's an expert by USCF standards. I realize FIDE numbers skew a little differently. But we're talking roughly, you know, expert master level players. So we go along, and the game, like I said, it looks plausible. I didn't sit here and analyze every single move for, you know, correctness and plausibility, but just banging through it fairly quickly, it looks like something that could actually happen. A lot of trading going on, you know, kind of rushing for an endgame here. Let me just bang through some moves pretty quick. There's some maneuvering that happens here. We get some exchanges. Rooks come off. Now the pawns start racing for the ends of the board. And we get to here. So, you know, we get, right here is where we get multiple queens. We get 3 versus 2, and then black, instead of swapping off a queen, decides to check and try to keep the game alive and possibly try to find a checkmate here. Black does win the game, by the way. You know, that's plausible. It's unusual, but there's some plausibility there that this could actually be a game that really happened. Okay? Good enough. We'll go back to the second one now. And here we get the end position. Well, no, I'm sorry, the position where we get the 5 queens on the board, and we play through a few extra moves, and we find out that white wins. Starting out, it's kind of an unusual opening. A little bit weird. Bishop comes out right away. Very old school, very 1800s. Again, we have, by the way, we have names. A couple ladies playing this game in St. Petersburg in 2005, and they do have ratings. You know, these are assuming a FIDE USCF correspondence between the two. These would be Class A players, but FIDE numbers tend to skew a little differently, so they're probably expert level by USCF standards. Again, a couple things in this game looked a little odd. You know, like, let me back up. Bishop sack, I don't know, I'm not really sure that I'm really seeing why that would be. But the material balance stays even, more or less. Let me just race through the game. Like I say, I probably could pick holes in it if I took my time a little bit more. Again, we get to an endgame very quick. Let me back up here, by the way. You know, we're shooting for an endgame. The minors are coming off. By the time we get to move 30, the minors are gone. We're down to rooks and queens. I think we end up trading the rooks off here directly. there's some more maneuvering around, and eventually we get to a point where we get that extra queen on the board. There we go. Coming up. There we are. And that's where we wind up, where we have 5 queens on the board, and then we trade some of them off, and we end up with that. Now that's again plausible. That's a plausible game. Hard to believe, but it's plausible. But let me show you the other one. This is where I'm going here with this. This is a game allegedly from 1992. This is the position where the 5 queens are on the board. Now let me show you something. First of all, we're looking at a tournament supposedly from 1992, ends in a draw, no ratings for the players. We do have names for them, okay, but we don't have any ratings. Now let me show you the beginning of this game. And we are immediately in the twilight zone. We have gone down the rabbit hole and we aren't coming back. Okay, this game just is weird. Now here we go. We'll bang through a few more moves here. And these guys are playing like a couple wrestlers that don't want to grapple. Now we get something going on. We finally break the center 10 moves in after getting all these pawns out and these minors. I mean, look at this right here. Let's back up. Let's back up here. Look at this. I mean, this is an immediate kingside pawn storm before black has even castled. So when I saw these first, I mean, we're 4 moves into the game. When I saw this, I immediately smelled a rat. I just had a hard time believing that this was a real game. But when we got here, this just got bizarre. This is where it got weird, because this is just plain bad chess. But moving right along, we finally get something coming off the board. Now these guys have been playing like they don't want to touch each other up to this point, up to move 9. They're acting like, well, we don't even want to get anywhere near each other. Now watch what happens all of a sudden. Suddenly we start trading like crazy. It's like they can't wait to get material off the board. In stark contrast to the timidity of the first 9 or 10 moves, it's like an apocalypse. Everything is coming off. We get to move 30, we're down to the rooks, and then we just start, okay, great. Now, move 32, kings and pawns. But now it just gets stupid. Watch what happens. Now, why would you not, at this point, why would that king not go racing over and try to cop off some more pawns? The same with black's king, you know. It's like these guys have some kind of a secret agreement. Let's see how many queens we can get. And look at that. I'm telling you right now, if this is a real game, I will eat my hat without salt. Okay? I guarantee you this is something that somebody, now I didn't go back in to look to see if there were any more games from this tournament in the database. I'll check that later. But I'll tell you right now, this looks like there was a bye, there was a draw, something happened, maybe 2 guys played a few moves, agreed on a draw, you know, maybe somebody's wife went into labor and he had to run off and leave, and just to be a sportsman, the guy agreed to a draw, whatever. But somebody came along later and invented this game. This is a manufactured game. There's no doubt in my mind that this game never happened the way you see it here. And look at this. Now we got 6 queens on the board. 6 queens. Let's back up. Every one of these pawns at this point, when these guys get done taking pawns off, every one of the remaining pawns at this point promotes. Every stinking one of them. This game is so fake, it isn't funny. There is no way I refuse to believe that this was an actual game. But it's in our database. It's in Mega Database. I mean, we didn't have somebody standing right there watching the game. And I had this conversation about 20 years ago with somebody, because somebody asked me, well, in your databases that you sell, can you guarantee the validity of every game? Well, no, because we don't have, thousands and thousands of ChessBase employees who stand by board side at every tournament around the world looking to see if the moves occur exactly as they appeared. What happens is you've got a tournament organizer who's basically vouching that when he submits game scores, that they're correct. But with the internet, man, you can do anything. And what I think is somebody was having a little fun here and decided, look at that. And all the queens come off, and now we have kings, and the game is a draw. We go from there being 6 queens on the board to a king versus king draw, insufficient mating chances. Game's fake, okay? So I apologize, first of all, on behalf of everybody in the chess world for this thing being on the internet. I had nothing to do with it. But this is the kind of thing kind of makes you embarrassed to be a chess player sometimes, that somebody would manufacture this game and throw it up online. So that's what I was talking about when I said sometimes you sit down to do one kind of a video and it takes you someplace completely different. I just wanted to do a video where I just did a weird search and just looked at what I came up with, and then you go here. And that's the thing, is there are really no checks and balances to keep people from polluting the data stream, as somebody once euphemistically called it. So you have to be very careful when you do look at your games. When you do searches in ChessBase, regardless of whether it's an opening search, middle game, end game search, when you're playing through the games, just be careful. This does happen once in a very, very, very great while. In fact, I've been fooling around with databases for 20 years, and this is the first time that I remember ever looking at a game and smelling a rat and saying this game has absolutely got to be a total fabrication. But you can judge for yourself, and if somebody comes along and can prove to me somehow that this game actually was played this way, I'll apologize to the players. I'll do it in a video. I'll apologize to the players. I'll apologize to the tournament organizer. I'll apologize to you, the viewer. But I'm telling you right now, I'm willing to eat my hat if this game is real. There's no way. I just can't believe that. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. Just look at your data when you pull up games, play through them. Use your head as you play through them. Just look at them, and you know, players do blunder. Things happen that aren't terribly plausible sometimes. You know, there's that wonderful game between Christensen and Karpov where Karpov blunders right in the opening and has to resign, if you remember that one. In fact, we may look for that one. We can pull that one up sometime just to embarrass Anatoly one more time. But just look at the games. Sometimes weird things do happen, but this just has so many bizarre things occur in the game that there's just absolutely no way I can believe this game is real. Anyway, that's it. I'm belaboring the point, and I apologize. Happy holidays, by the way. Forgot to mention that in the last video. As I said, we're in the week between Christmas and New Year's as I record this, and we have been making rather merry, and I'm kind of tired. So that's why I'm doing oddball searches in ChessBase, but showing you how to do them. I'll show you another one the next time around in ChessBase Workshop. Until then, happy holidays. Please be safe, be careful, but do have fun.